Gucci never got robbed. And something happens in real time to where I figure out, oh, we was pretending like we was family. I'm thinking that Gucci Man is gonna be forced to testify. If not, it's gonna be obstruction of justice. They're gonna require some sort of cooperation or he gonna go to jail. Now here's the other side of that. I truly believe Gucci going rogue is on the table. Gucci on medication. And that medication gonna come back. It's gonna be a pivotal piece in this case.
And I'm like, you're going through an episode. You're sick. No, I'm not. Ain't nothing wrong with me.
And I'm not sure how far that goes as it pertains to him even being able to testify.
Why you think a lot of watch Vlad TV? Who turn you up on Vlad TV, my nigga? When you talk about interviewing and you bring Boosie name up, you bring Vlad TV name up.
$25,000 for an interview appearance is blasphemy. Especially if you drop an album and you sell 1,000 records in the first week.
We've never really had, up to this point, we never had like a business disagreement. You know, at times Boosie's like, oh, I thought I was gonna get this. And I'm like, okay, cool, you can have it. I'm not tripping.
Usually when Boosie asks for something, I come clean like the washing machine. I ain't doing that no more because, I mean, he's in a position now where he doesn't necessarily have to depend on Boosie.
All I want is 40, bro. Like, I ain't on no 100K shit. Give me 40. I'm worth that, right? Am I worth that? 40?
It's unfortunate for me to see Boosie still hustling in that same trap he was hustling in damn near 20 years ago. Like, you still selling verses. Things that I was expecting from you, like following P, following Baby. But if you want Southern rap legendary status in the building for damn near anything, you can pay Boosie, he gonna show up. And in his mind, that's hustling. He used to be in there before Vlad started trusting him. Vlad made him come in there, sit down in that chair, damn near gunpoint, and do an interview. Yes, a security guard somewhere in here strapped, just in case you get rowdy, we'll beat you in here. And pay attention to his high-level game being put down on Boosie. He may missed it. Somebody, I'm gonna send one of you boys an invoice. I'm the best in the business. I go by Big Loon. It's Up There Podcast. I want to welcome each and every person that ever clicked the video. You now locked in with the best in the business. Let there be no misunderstandings. Let me clarify my position. If you ain't on patreon.com, you are not a part of the congregation. And although we appreciate you, I want you to know that there is a community, there is a place where the thinkers, the information seekers, the people that run the culture truly, not these industry guys, the people that run the culture truly, and I operate in the industry, it won't convert me, right? I can operate in the industry, but it won't convert me. I fight against letting it convert me, right? And so what that means to me is always passing the information down, the true information, because I truly know, right? From the outside to the inside. See, most people coming from the outside trying to get inside. It's cold out there. You understand me? But what people don't understand is you running into a building that's even colder than, boy. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and share. Let somebody know you was there, man. This is the only way you can participate in one of the more pivotal times in culture by rallying behind a voice like Big Loon on this Up There Podcast, man. I got a lot to talk about. You know, I wanna talk about this Gucci and POOH SHIESTY'S thing. You know, I want to give it about 15 minutes as I have moved on from it. But I do think it's important. Over the last couple of days, I've learned a lot about the platform, a lot about myself, right? I keep telling y'all to do inventory. I'm in Bluetooth mode. I'm seeking, right? You put the human being in Bluetooth mode. That's what I specialize in. If somebody asks you, hey, man, what Loon do? No, he's an expert in putting a human in Bluetooth mode. And that's a fact. And so as I'm looking at this Gucci and POOH SHIESTY'S thing unravel, I started to realize how powerful my voice is. And although my audience knows me, the people that really listen to me, I see y'all arguing back and forth with some of the newcomers in the comments that's saying, well, hold up, man, why are you always talking about POOH SHIESTY? And I keep explaining to people that It's Up There Podcast deals with mindset. people conveniently ignore the fact that I continuously say that it was a mistake on all episodes, right? And so I do want to be responsible with my voice because, right, the real ones do tap into this. The culture taps into this. The industry taps into this. The CEOs taps into this. The regular people taps into this. And so I do need to be responsible with my voice. And for that, I do think I need to speak to the other side as well. I got a few other updates I want to make because Bradford Cohen did come out and have a conversation on Law and Crime. And I did DM Bradford Cohen behind the scenes to see if he'll come up and speak with us. Because I know y'all would like to hear me have a conversation with him, some back and forth. I think, man, when I'm being realistic about it, if I'm my true self and I ask questions from a true standpoint, I truly believe that I may can jeopardize some of the defense. So it may not be wise to come talk to me, or it may be wise to say, hey, certain things is off the table, because I do want to do that for y'all. Bradford has always been someone that let me know he respects what I do, and he'll come on the platform at any time, along with Brian Steele, Drew Finland. I just want to put that on the table, right? I got personal contacts on Brian. Me and Bradford talk, here and there. And Drew has sent word as well. But my whole thing is letting people know that, we do have that kind of reach and culture. So I am exploring trying to get Bradford to come and speak with us over here and add to some of the conversation and just ask some questions, some very pertinent questions. Before I do even get into some of my update, I want to take a look at some of what Bradford Cohen said on Law and Crime, and then we'll come back with some commentary. Pay attention.
Both Pooh and Gucci going forward, I thought they both were going to really make a lot of money and do really well, because I think that there is just a lot there in terms of talent between the two of them. So I was disappointed to hear Gucci's side of the story, and I wanted to find out more when I first heard about it. The government, after 3 or 4 months of this case and investigation, they never indicted. They actually filed a complaint, which is quite unusual in a high-profile case. Usually on a high-profile case where you're going to do a press release, put it out there, all this information and all these different things that are going on, you usually want to have an indictment in hand, but they had a complaint. A complaint is usually done where they think there's a rush to get it done. You don't see complaints where it's usually 4 months of investigation. So that was unusual. And now that the complaint has been filed and he's being held no bond, now they're seeking to get an indictment. So I won't know what the specific defense is until we see all the discovery.
Fair.
So yeah, sitting here with you, it could be they have a great picture of POOH Shiesty walking inside the building and you can clearly see it's him, then it would be silly to say it's not. But if they don't have that kind of evidence, if they can't produce the kind of evidence that's needed to carry the burden, then that's something that needs to be explored. So I don't know yet.
Totally fair. So in other words, you're not confirming or denying whether or not he was at the studio, or whether or not there was a contract dispute, or what the nature of that day was about, right? So that's
sure. And it would be irresponsible and stupid of me to say, hey, listen, we're not going to deny this. Start giving up things that I don't know whether or not they can prove or not prove.
You mentioned this alleged diss track, right? So the reports that Gucci Mane allegedly recorded this diss track against POOH Shiesty. I believe it's called Crash Dummy. I'm going to read you some of the lyrics. Tell you the truth, you went out like a real crash dummy, and after all that, boy, you still signed to me. I walk in the room, you can feel the pressure building. Blank dapped me up there, whole time they plotting against me. Thoughts on that? Client's thoughts on that?
What I was surprised at is what's not in the diss track, and what's not in the diss track is any mention of a gun, any mention of, allegedly a Draco, which was used, which is a shorter version of a long AK-47.
Let me clarify something right here, because this is high-level game being put down by Bradford Cohen. Number one, he's using the bravado against Gucci early in the game. That rap bravado, right? Notice the great thing about lawyers and the great thing about people, even politicians, do this. Fuck what you ask me. I'm going to answer and put the information out that I want out. You ever notice that sometimes you'll ask a politician something and they'll wrap it back around and be talking about something way over here? And it's like, no, but I was asking about this. How we get over here to the economy and to your talking points, right? So Bradford Cohen it's damn near like he patted the question down, because he answered it in a roundabout way and distribute the information that he wanted out, which was, you notice what I don't see in the song? He never said dudes robbed him. He never said dudes put a gun to his head. Imagine that. I think he understands that rap has a certain bravado, and so of course he wouldn't come out and say that these niggas beat me half to death in here trying to get me to sign. You know what I'm saying? He gonna say, damn, peeing to the paper, but is under duress. To me, if we were having a genuine conversation on Law and Crime right here, the follow-up question would have been about that line. Yeah, you're right. I don't see any of that stuff. However, Mr. Coin, what do you say about the line of pen to the paper, but I was under duress? Because again, for me, that assigns roles and that assigns positions, that clarifies and puts victimhood on Gucci Mane, if you're asking me. And so, but again, I just wanted to point out the tactic from Bradford Cohen. It's a very interesting tactic that lawyers use when they do not answer the question and they wrap it back around and use what you asked them to distribute the information that they really want out. Funny thing, but this is high level games being put down. Pay attention.
No mention of those things. And let me tell you, there's a lot of words that rhyme with gun and Draco because they've been in every rap from here to Kingdom Come. When you have rappers that talk about, these so-called drill rappers that talk about shootings and things of that nature. So I was surprised that it didn't have more detail in terms of like guns were used or things of that nature. I never have an opinion on someone's record or song or diss track because I feel like an artist is going to say what an artist says, and that's from their point of view, and it's from what they feel occurred at any type of situation or something that didn't occur that they feel might sell records. So I don't know. So for me to say like, oh, I was worried about it, not worried about it, I just don't care.
So you don't think it necessarily might be coming into evidence in any way?
No, I don't think it. The only time it would come into evidence is if Gucci Mane was to take the stand and say, I don't recall what happened that night. I was on medication or I was drinking and I was on medication. I'm not positive how everything went down or something of that nature. Then the prosecutor might be able to use that as some sort of impeachment. But other than that, it's not just coming in as evidence. If he doesn't, if he says he shows up and he goes, yeah, I remember it's kind of a little hazy, but I remember some things, then it's not coming in if he testifies the way the song plays out.
So there is allegedly, according to the government, an argument, and they claim it ends up with Williams Jr., again, POOH SHIESTY, being accused of taking out a black AK-style pistol, pointing it at RD, presumably Gucci Mane, demanding he sign the contract release paperwork. RD allegedly complied, signed it, and then there is the claim that RD was not allowed to leave as he was held at gunpoint. So there's allegations that Wright also allegedly recorded RD signing the paperwork and being forced to say that he released Williams Jr. from the contract, and then afterwards it's alleged that Williams Jr. took RD's wedding ring and watch and earrings and cash. It was alleged that other defendants took out guns too and demanded property from other alleged victims. There was an allegation that McDaniel threatened to shoot BP, that MM was choked to the point that he nearly passed out, and embedded in the complaint are what appear to be photos allegedly showing cuts or abrasions on MM's neck and wrist. And there's also a claim that his wallet and watches, a Louis Vuitton bag, headphones, they were stolen. And then I'm just going to read this part verbatim and then we'll get into it. Quote, RD was pushed onto the couch in the control room, causing the victims to believe they were going to be executed. Williams Jr. placed the barrel of a firearm to the back of BP's head and ordered him and RD to leave the control room and the studio through the west entrance of the office building. RD then instructed CW and TD to escort them to their vehicle. As the victims left, MM turned to Williams Jr. and asked him if they were really taking his watches. Based on later recovered surveillance video footage, the target suspects left the studio and the office building through the east entrance at approximately 4:48 p.m. So a bunch of questions here. Bradford, I'll first start with this. If this alleged recording of RD signing the contract against his will, what should we be thinking about that?
So far, I haven't seen the recording, nor does anyone have a copy of the recording as of now. I don't know if there ever will be a copy of that recording. There has been no copy of the alleged contract that has been signed, nor has one been provided during the bond hearing. And they have actually said they don't know if one even exists. They suppose one exists. That's that part of it. Then the interesting part about, hey, am I really having my watches stolen? That's kind of a weird statement to be made between these individuals. And then what I think also is really important is the sloppiness of the complaint. At the beginning of the complaint, if you read, it says this robbery occurred at approximately 4:50 p.m. at this address. Then later on in the complaint, it says they all left at 4:48 p.m. at this address. So even the sloppiness of the complaint is quite shocking when it comes to someone who's getting charged with a life felony. That's just one mistake that was made in that complaint. There's others that were made and contradictions that happened during that complaint that were very unusual. But there's also another part where they say that Lantrell Pooh held this gun to somebody's head and said all these different things. And then there's another part of the complaint that says, actually, he told one guy, hey, put your gun down, don't shoot this guy or something like that. So there's a lot of contradicting statements that were made within the complaint, not to mention how sloppy the complaint was put together. And during the bond hearing, I think very smartly, they had the FBI agent that actually wrote that complaint. She's only been an FBI agent for 3 years. They had her in the courtroom, but they didn't want to put her on the stand to be cross-examined.
These alleged victims told local law enforcement what happened or allegedly happened, but they didn't speak with the FBI. So two questions about that. One, based as far as you know, is what's listed in the government's claims, is that accurate from the reports that were filed by local PD? And two, why wouldn't they speak to the FBI if that's true?
So the first part of that is I don't know, because the reports that I got from that evening from the Dallas PD are completely redacted. But putting that aside, that's the first part of that. Why wouldn't they talk to the FBI? It could be sometimes something happens and you feel some sort of way that night, and then time goes by and you start to consider my options and how this is going to go. And, it's quite unusual. The hip hop rap world looks at snitching in different ways. And sometimes people say everything is snitching. There's one guy who's on, he's got a podcast. He thinks everything's snitching. If you plea, it's snitching. If you do this, it's snitching. So people are really divided as to these guys are real gangsters, but now on the other hand, they're snitching. And then other people are saying, well, the guy's a businessman now. He's not a street guy. And, that's just the way, you should do business a certain way. There's a lot going on here, a lot of dynamics. So I don't know why they haven't spoken to the FBI in 3 or 4 months. The FBI seems to think it was just a scheduling conflict, which I find extremely hard to believe.
They said that at the bond hearing?
Yeah, she said it. Yeah. We just couldn't get together in the past 4 months. There's 5 different witnesses. None of them could even get on Zoom. They couldn't give you anything. Nope. They just were too busy. So I just don't buy that. Now, whether or not going forward they're going to be cooperating and the level of cooperation, that I don't know. You know what I mean? And I don't depend on that on any case. I assume cases are going forward based on the evidence that was presented at a bond hearing. And I assume that they're telling me the truth, that, they're going to be cooperating. The FBI says they're going to be cooperating. So I can't take it as that they're lying to me. I prepare my case as if they're telling me the truth. Right. Whether or not at trial that ends up being the case, it's usually not.
So there's a lot to get to here, right? Number one, let me clarify a few things. Today, I'm going to try to take an approach to speak more on behalf of Gucci's side. Now, none of my commentary is favorable from either. It deals with the mind frame that the individual is in from my perspective. And so game is information, what you can pull from a situation, right? I don't participate in the gossip. I deal with the game. And there's a very thin line between the two. I would ask that those people out there understand that when I do commentary, none of it is personal. I tend to be objective. I give my opinion and my perspective. Some people are dealing with research. I deal with experience. I like to touch and feel and be involved in things. I'm a visual learner. And so because my voice is so big, I have a responsibility to deal with both sides, and I can feel that. I can understand that, right? I would ask those people that is watching this video and ever bump into me, bear with me. The reason I ask you to bear with me is I've been through things that have changed the lens. I've been through things that'll make you view things from a different perspective. A perspective that's hard to deal with for most people. And I think somewhere along the lines when I deal with the betrayal that comes along with the business, knowing that I'm on that route, you got to also remember that I'm literally in the game that I'm critiquing in real time. And so some of it is panic. Some of it is understanding what's at stake. All of it is informative. And so when I deal with situations like bad contracts and dudes sitting at the end of the bed and coming to the conclusion that crashing out is even on the table, I understand that that's a mistake. But then I try to deal with how you got there. If you see me try to understand it from a point of view that's non-traditional, understand that I've been involved in numerous situations where there's been a real-time example and something happens in real time to where I figure out, oh, we was pretending like we was family in the blink of an eye. So you got to remember, I'm always try to identify that and clean that up and try to help people understand. Remember, that's always on the table. I posted a video of Gilly and Wallow talking to D-Lo one time, and it went viral online because people are starting to turn on Gilly and Wallow. And they were talking to D-Lo and they were saying to D-Lo, yo, these people got to add value around you. These dudes can't just be around you. And his homeboys was looking at him like, damn, he talking about me in front of it. Damn, he talking about me, ain't it? You understand me? These other niggas in the room ain't bringing no value, you know. Now they calling themselves trying to give them the game. People took that as, damn, homie. My understanding was, at some point, y'all gonna stop pretending like y'all family. At some point, it's gonna cost you too much just to be with me on some you with me shit. So I'm really trying to put you ahead of the curve and say, put something in your hand, put some use of yourself, get some value. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself on the outside and you're going to blame homeboy. You're going to say you roll with him and put your life on the line, but you ain't up to score none. You ain't go get no business licenses or go and learn a new skill set that can add to what we doing. Teach us how to add to the algorithm. You ain't go figure out AI and Claude, and you ain't go figure out Perplexity and Chat GPT. You just sitting around with me taking pictures. Yeah, you nigga gonna get kicked out the car at some point. Maybe not right now. I can afford to do it. But I'm telling you, at some point, it's gonna be a scenario where if you don't create some sort of value around someone, that you will find yourself on the outside of those circles that used to produce so much for you. And so when you see me identify with the other side of some of these arguments, like when we talk about Gucci and POOH SHIESTY'S, although I do say it's a mistake, I can identify with some of the route that made you go out of bounds. See, I can identify, oh, he running the wrong route. The boy going right out of bounds. Even if he catch the ball, it ain't no good. Yeah, nah, this nigga can go 100 yards, shake the whole even if he catch the ball, it ain't no good. He ran the wrong route. He ended up out of bounds, wide open. He think you wide open because you over there in the danger zone. It don't even count over there. That's why a lot of niggas let y'all talk street shit and talk. It don't count. It don't mean nothing until you start understanding business is when it count. The shit Kanye was talking about, yeah, it count. And so I can identify when somebody is on the wrong route because when I came out the huddle, all of them routes was available. Yeah, now I was on the wrong route. I just made my own move. The quarterback just got the CB open. Yeah, nah, I broke that route. You understand me? And so now I'm in the middle of the field wide open. So what I'm saying is, bear with me because I've been in too many situations where betrayal was at the foot of it. And so I can identify with, oh shit, we done stopped pretending we family. And now we done figured out that all this shit been business from the get-go. So all that my brother shit, all that his love shit, all that went out the door for what? You understand? And so I think people need to bear with me. But again, I do have responsibility because my voice is so loud. And so I have to speak to the other side. Now, today we're going to deal with some of what Bradford Corn is speaking about. One of those things being that, is this record going to be able to be used? Now, you know, that was some of the conversation we were having on this Up There podcast. We went viral with the, can you do something with this? The idea that Bradford Corn is saying it can't be used, I'm going to take him at his word because he's a much more experienced individual in that field than I am. What I will say is I'm thinking that Gucci Mane is going to be forced to testify. If not, it's going to be obstruction of justice, right? You cannot go and make a report like this, whether that's to go and file your insurance or what have you, and then bail when the feds get involved. They're going to require some sort of cooperation or you're going to go to jail. Now, here's the other side of that. Because, again, today we dealing with Gucci Mane's perspective. Here's the other side of that. With all of the backlash and him dropping his record, POOH SHIESTY'S and them better hope Gucci just don't go on and just go all the way rogue. See, because anytime one of these rap boys or these entertainer boys get in one of these situations, they look over at Lil Woody and they say, shit, it might, man, I might, as it pertains to an outcome. See, because Woody came out with an outcome worth having for most of these street dudes. If you come from the ghetto, Woody still get love no matter what he done. And so what I'm telling you is because they done cracked the whole game down, you got even niggas all the way at the top saying, man, I might, POOH SHIESTY can't afford for him to go rogue. He gonna get 30 years. And so you need to be trying to send a bag through there. You need to be trying to figure something out. See, that's the problem. A lot of times when you come from the ghetto, in particular come from Tennessee, you be stuck on that guerrilla pimping. You don't really know how to finesse it. You gonna guerrilla all the way out. You understand me? You got to turn the gorilla down a little bit and get a little finesse going. You understand me? You got to turn your finesse up a little bit, Shiesty. You understand me? Y'all got to be talking with some sense because if Gucci just go rogue, because if you notice, they might can convince Gucci Mane to go on and go rogue, man. Man, fuck all that. This your chance. Turn your back on that street shit for good, nigga. Go on, bury it. Bury Gucci, man, nigga. Fuck it. He might can get shiesty 30 years. You know, the culture putting a lot of pressure on him, but if you notice, he won't say nothing. He's still gonna perform. He's still gonna pop out. So what that's telling me is, it's some shame, but he's still gonna go get the money. Depending on how long this take, you'll see a nigga creep past that shame. That shame really what kept all you niggas from snitching back in the day. It used to have some mean shame on snitching, boy. That shame that's on snitching used to be because your parents, they used to pass that down. That's passed down from the ancestors, man. And so that's a deeper conversation, man. Again, a lot of times people hear crime, I hear character, but I also understand the constructs that we have evolved from. And so I understand the ancestors used to say, hey, we done figured out a way how to get some cold water from their shit. Don't tell nobody. Don't tell master. And a nigga go tell master, we done figured out how to get the water and get niggas. You understand? So it been some things passed down. Now, my children ain't raised with no street code, but they're raised on responsibility. You take responsibility for what you done. But I truly believe Gucci going rogue is on the table. I just don't think it's far-fetched to think at some point he might just say, yo, man, pop back out. Because once you creep past that shame, and we done saw a few niggas and what happened, we look over, man, they crept right past that shame that's involved with that shit. I'm not sure if Gucci can do that because he will deep in. You know what I'm saying? He will far in, you know what I mean? They respected him in the real trenches. Like I'm talking about where they smoking loose cigarettes and 40 ounces, Bud Ices, and Steel Reserves. Yeah, Gucci had love down there where you can't get no love at. You rapping ass niggas can't get love what Gucci and them were getting love at. So that's why some of the disappointment is on it. But again, all of the rules, as I explained last time, all of the rules are irresponsible. One of the things I also think is going to be used in this case against POOH SHIESTY'S is that I think Bradford Corn is going to, and I'm telling you this early. I believe the defense is going to explore the fact that Gucci never got robbed. Nobody had guns on him, even if it was guns in there. And yeah, he signed the contract. They're going to force him to say something. But here's the caveat. Gucci on medication. And that medication going to come back. It's going to be a pivotal piece in this case. Because he's on medication, I'm not sure how far that goes as it pertains to him even being able to testify. And maybe that's a way he can wiggle out. And that's why I'm saying Shiesty and them, at some point, somebody got to say, yo, man, yeah, man, because it's too much on the table. You understand me? But he might can wiggle out saying that, yo, whatever I said that night, I was on medication. He get one of them big boy lawyers and they might get in front of a judge and say he was on medication that night. So whatever he said is null and void and he's not testifying at this point. But they done already drug his name in the mud because he done already done too much. So now we got to figure out, is that what he gonna do? But that medication is going to be a pivotal piece as it pertains to Gucci Mane. I think another thing that's going to kind of strengthen the fact that he's on medicine, man. He don't know what he be talking. He said somebody robbed him. What do you mean somebody, man, robbed him? Why would they rob his CEO? Like, and I think at some point a juror can be like, okay, that does not, like, why would they call him there to a studio he always go to? It's the same kind of game you can play. As obvious as it is to be a stupid move, that's flipped on his face is why it doesn't make sense for him to have done it. That's the reasonable doubt. Once you flip it on his face like, man, that's a stupid thing he done with an ankle monitor on, that's how you present it to the jury. How stupid y'all think this guy is? Some jurors in some cases can see that and say, yo, I just don't see somebody doing that in his situation with an ankle monitor on. But the fact that he's on medication, I think is going to be extremely important. In this interview in particular, if you're asking me, is going to be at the forefront of that when Keyshia K.O. was on Breakfast Club with Gucci Mane. And let me say this before we even get into the clip. I love black love. And it's funny how the internet can switch on you. I'm not saying anything negative about Keyshia K.O. That ain't even how I get on. Everybody know women love me. I love women. And my mama and family watch me. So I'm a gentleman. You understand me? But at the same time, we dealing with what is going to be going on in this trial. And I truly believe what Keyshia Chaos said on the Breakfast Club can strengthen the fact that whatever Gucci said that night, he was on medication, or medication was in his system, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. Let's take a look at what she said on Breakfast Club. With fame and power, that you go out and communicate effectively. Like, you be able to articulate yourself and your ideas, because it's too much left on the table. It's too much left to wonder and assume, right? And she didn't mean no harm. She's really talking about protecting her family. But at the same time, it comes off like he's telling you he's not sick. You saying he's sick. You got to explain that a little more than just, you're sick. You got to know how people will receive that, right? You got to be able to articulate that a little more and drill it down. You can't just, you're sick. And that exchange just leaves too much for people to put their own narratives around it, right? I think this version of Gucci Mane is going to be under attack in this case. You got to remember, he's not even 18 months removed from going on an entire book tour, speaking about how, how fragile his mental is and being open about mental health. And we need artists to be transparent in that way. But at the same time, as it pertains to what he said that night, is he on medication? Will he come back? Can he wiggle out if they don't just gorilla him and bag him in a hole? Basically, what I'm telling you, if Gucci wanted to out right now, he can use the fact that whatever I said to the cops that night, I'm really on medication. His lawyer would have a very strong case, because he literally just come off a book tour 18 months speaking about how fragile his mental is. I think that's his way out if he wants out, but I also think that they pushed him in a place where he may go rogue. And it's also important for me to break down some of the details of said contract, right? From my opinion, POOH SHIESTY may want it out of his contract. It's the same thing when you see one of these star players come out and say, yo, trade me, and the team like, trade you? Man, please, you moving this many jerseys, right? There's a tangible benefit of you being on the team. And while I understand that from a business perspective, when you're doing business and you're scribbling outside the lines, I think that's a lot of times what some of these people in the industry don't understand is that, yeah, it's not like you pulling from Yale. Yeah, it's not like you pulling from Harvard and Spelman. You understand me? You pulling from the ghetto. You pulling from the slums. You pulling niggas from jail and all these kind of things. So you're scribbling outside of the lines. Is it business? 100%. But it's non-traditional business as it pertains to the farm system. Now, you can turn this kind of gentleman into a clean citizen superstar, right? But it takes time, and there's a transition that has to happen, right? But at the end of the day, these young boys do not understand that it's business and it's only business, and that arrangement is exposed at some point in their journey. And when it gets exposed, they have an emotional reaction that I can understand them having, because I get they don't get it. As far that they can go, they can't see that far. At some point, you learn the hard way that access is not ownership. You'll hear sometimes people say, I'm not showing up to award shows if I ain't winning, because they use my likeness being at the award shows to get sponsorships, even though I get nothing coming. Some people start to understand the intricate details of the industry. And when we talk on this Up There podcast, these are the level of people we're speaking with. But because my voice is growing, I'm starting to get outside of our audience, and people are saying, hold on, that's not making sense. Well, first, you got to be somebody that can take care of your family. You got to be somebody that people can depend on to even understand where my vantage point even be coming from, home. I'm just keeping it real. And so I can imagine what an artist is like that feel powerful in his own right. Picture a young boy that got a little gang of his homeboys that'll do whatever he say. And they been smushing street legends all their life, and they finna go out to a rapper. I'm telling you, mindset, Holmes. At some point, you learn the hard way. Access is not ownership. And you can have a relationship with the boss, a relationship with the label, but at some point, it get hard to sleep knowing I don't control my own movement. Everything we built, I don't even really got say so in it. Now, I've been going to sleep with it, but it get hard. That's if you cleaned yourself up from the mud. Depending on where you come from, like, it's relative. And then you got to know what type of ego that this industry will birth. These rap guys will get up under you too. Sometimes people will get up under you and start comparing themselves to you. Sometimes because they're a part of your hustle, they think they're your only hustle. And so from Gucci Mane perspective, Shiesty might be saying, I'm making you more money than you actually making. And he could be getting fed bad information. Like somebody can be telling him bad information behind the scenes. Like, yo, man, you supposed to be making this. You can be making this. This can be being fed to him. So that's where the resentment starts to fermenting. The closer you are to power, it can give you the illusion of equality. Sometimes people will be, that's why I tell you, we come from nothing. Sometimes we'll sit there and reward people for just staying by us and watching us hustle. They didn't even help you. Sometimes access to power, when you get that close to power, it creates that illusion of equality. I'm supposed to drive the Rolls Royce if you driving the Rolls Royce. You ever hear that? Yo, if Loon your family like you say, why you ain't rich yet? Yeah, why you ain't got this yet? People tend to throw that around because access to power creates an illusion of equality. I can have you close enough to get money. I can make you a millionaire. I can have you in the room with all the billionaires where you can create your own shit. But somewhat deep down in niggas' hearts, they can still have some sort of resentment that the room belong to somebody else. They want the whole room. They don't even want access to the room. Say, bro, you can get anything in the house. Whatever plugs I got, sometimes that ain't even enough. Whatever spirit niggas got, homes, whatever is leading them, homes, you never know what's going on with these niggas. So you got to check them out. Drop some money. Leave a 50 ball laying around. See if a nigga steal. Walk out the room and look at the surveillance. Look at him in your studio when ain't nobody in there with him. Weed laying around, shrooms laying. See what a nigga do when he think ain't nobody watching. Then you can have a moral barometer on what people may do. But you have to balance it with both sides. You got both people waking up at the same time. Oh, this little nigga on some other shit. And oh, this nigga been running business on me. You got two different ideologies colliding in a business, and it's wrapped with emotions. It's wrapped with confusion. It could be wrapped with gas on it, flames on it, betrayal on it, misunderstanding on it, and ain't nobody had no conversation to clarify nothing. And so when you can't come to terms and things are left unsaid and unclarified, you can find yourself in a bad place. Here's the thing about people can be in a room and still be upset that the room belongs to someone else. Although I preach that and I understand that, and I want people to be aware of that, because your job is to get in the game and elevate from the game, not try to take somebody's place. Create a spot. Don't take a spot, create a spot. Leave a pathway. And again, that's the executive branch kind of talk. While I understand that side of it, I also think it's important for the rap guys to understand that a studio key ain't the deed to the studio. The way that business is handled, again, man, it's a really deep conversation, because the business has been handed down by people that the people that taught people how to put an artist in a record deal. I think there's some questions about the motives of that stuff. And it's just been passed down, and there have been some amendments, and people have tried to make moves when they could. But the majority of the market share lives with the people who ultimately create what's called an industry standard. And when you do business outside of that, you leave money on the table. They ultimately outbid you and outlast you, because your money is just not as long as theirs is. Now, let me say this too. My understanding of the federal government is they don't play the same game as the state. I know people saying Gucci gonna testify. Even if he don't, I want you to know, maybe not in this high profile case, but they're going and push the line and they're gonna cheat you. Yeah, they're gonna push it to you. Now, here's the thing. You hear people speak about the 97% conviction rate. You don't never hear them talk about the appeal rate. I got people in prison right now. They'll tell you from the federal system, like, there's a lot of people coming home on appeals from the feds. A lot of times they won't honor the Constitution. They'll press the line in court because they ain't losing. Like, I got a homeboy right now fighting a case I help him beat. I know he beat it. I put my mind on it. I know he beat it, and they still sent him to the feds. It's littered with all kind of bad stuff. And so what I'm saying is, messing with the feds is a different game. That's why Gucci, if they do try to say, oh, you want to play with us? We done spent all our money. You done put us out there and we done got embarrassed, man. You finna get hit with obstruction. We finna start looking at your taxes. Yeah, what you been doing? Hey, you paid all your shit. Like, they gonna get on his ass. You fucking with the feds, nigga, they gonna get on your ass. And then far as POOH Shiesty, it could be a difference because it's high profile, but I'm telling you that they're gone and push the line. Now, people are questioning the mindset of POOH Shiesty. If these alleged crimes are true and he did, in fact, have some sort of robbery take place on Gucci, man, everybody is wondering, like, yo, what kind of move is that? I explained earlier how I think that ultimately that can be an effective counter argument. Nobody is that stupid to do that. That's one. But two, from what we know about POOH Shiesty, he ain't made the best decisions. Like, he's still growing. He a young dude. So I think there was a video going around with him like having an ankle monitor on at 15. I went to juvenile. We've all made mistakes when we were young, just being out there bullshitting, doing things in the inner city. But again, I broke the route. He stayed on the route. And although he caught the ball, he caught it out of bounds. And he can't seem to get back in bounds. And that's what the coach is for. It's like you breaking your route, youngster. We no longer going that way. We going the other way. Use the same speed. Use the same agility. Use the same mindset. Use the same hunger. Use the same aggression. But nigga, go the other way. But then I thought about it. His father was involved. Sometimes we fall victim to the game. That ain't talked about enough. See, I think what happens is we're so proud to beat the game, and so the rap guys are going to beat the game, but they don't really talk about the boys that fell victim to the game. Ain't no glory in that. And also, they feel like it's a trophy to beat the game because it is. But man, niggas fall victim to the game, and they pass their game down generation after generation. Them niggas done fell victim to the game, homie. When you think you winning, but you losing the entire time. Now you wrapped up in this with your little boy, right? Because he a soldier. You made him a soldier. You a soldier. In your mind, this how you looking at the world. I'm a soldier. He a soldier. We soldiers. This how we living. But once both of you niggas fall victim to the game, you lost. And so part of my commentary also is that the same I would have gave for Gucci Mane in his younger years is that you looking at a young dude and it's going to cost him. It's definitely going to cost him. It done been costing him. It's been expensive for him. But part of me is looking at the young man that was tricked and fell victim to this game. And it been working. But part of me is thinking that it's the young boy that got tricked that's disrespecting the blessing that God gave him. It doesn't feel like a man operating with the full handbook that'll make some of these decisions. That's why people now, everybody got remedies for him. When he posted that my labels ain't giving me nothing and he shooting signals out there, ain't nobody got no advice. He make a move, now the whole world got advice for him. Niggas getting millions of views giving him advice now. That's why you got to be careful who you have in conversation with, because who POOH Shiesty go and talk to? The people that had access to him, I guarantee they done heard some of these stories. If there's really a contract dispute, I'm talking about off camera. I know things I don't speak about today. That's just how I'm cut. I know shit that'll make millions right now. That's how I'm cut. We don't get on like that. Really solid. The money can't buy. You can't buy us. I'd have been bought. They'd have been have a receipt on me if I were for sale. Never for sale. But whoever got access to POOH Shiesty, Big 30, all any of these dudes that's in the game that he respect, you niggas done heard some of these conversations. You niggas better not make no video. You niggas better not interview nobody and say, yeah, I was talking to POOH Shiesty about it. Nigga, your game ain't potent enough. You ain't gave him a route. Give him a route. Man, I'm get out my deal. That bitch ass nigga didn't hit me. I know he done said something like that if that's how he felt. Now everybody got videos for him. But here's what I say. You can't help people you don't know need to be helped. Part of me looks at it a certain way, although it's not absent of responsibility and recourse. I still look at it like part of it is the little boy that was tricked, man, and bought into this shit. And I just wonder what made POOH Shiesty reject the shape of the plate. Like, it's just like he ain't want to eat no more over here with you. That was just, I don't get it. I really having a hard time with that. Even with all things considered, let's get something in writing that's just gonna let me drop all this shit back to back like Future did. Rocco, he dropped 2 albums back to back. That's your paper. I'm back hustling. He's still a young dude, right? But maybe it's because he had recently got home. He had got back to the music. He restarted momentum. It's like, I wonder, did that moment start some kind of internal emergency for him to get out the deal? Like, something was pushing him. I imagine with the FDO out, it's so many people coming. You so hot, man. You on fire. The whole music business is down. You the next one. It's like, I wonder did some of that cause for him to overreact. Because I know he was trying to restore his rank and his momentum, and he was trying to speed the process. He was trying to speed past the perceived power of all these other guys. I wonder, did that create like an internal emergency for him that caused him to move kind of reckless? I think as great of a lawyer, and of course, if I brought him on, I wouldn't have these level of conversations with him. We'll just ask him questions and let him go. But this is commentary. This isn't an interview, what I'm doing right now. I do think it's going to be hard for him to get around the federal government only because I've seen them press certain kind of lines. And I know y'all saying Diddy lost and these people, man, I've seen them dealing with guns and robbery and shit like that. It's a different ball game with them. They got hundreds of thousands of these, man. They be knocking these right down through there. I'm talking about, I got a homeboy right now, man. They really nailed him to the cross. They really cheated. And I say that, and it's on appeal right now, right? I don't know how that works. My other cousin, he in there right now. They did some shit cheating on him. Wouldn't let his lawyer do certain shit. It's like, I'm saying, bro, if this was Bradford Corner Brian Steele, I would expect a different result. But you got to fight when you go against the feds. Like, you got to be willing to really fight and look at the laws and look at the process. You see Bradford Corn, one of the first things he pointed out is the inconsistency with the time. That breaks down this arrest report in a way. And it shows some rookie was involved. One thing we got to do as a culture, right? As someone that respects business and abides by his contracts, puts in all his deliverables and try to be a team player and gonna add value to any brand that I'm associated with, period, right? Because my voice is that strong in our culture, and I appreciate God and all of y'all that ever listen to me. We got to stop dressing up business in family language and acting like we ain't doing business. I think that's to the detriment of us, but that is how we connect and get the best out of the artist. When they think it's family, the artist really will go to war for you. Right? We saw how Benny Siegel and them was just jumping out the plane for Jay back then. Whoever dissed Jay. Jay the Kiss, we at him. Oh, y'all left the label, we at you. Wayne was the same way with Birdman. We about to get into Wayne, we at him. Whatever we at him. I think there's a scenario where we use stuff like loyalty, La Familia, brother, family, for life, and all of these terms, and they're emotionally warm. But the underlying tactics is still control and power. And I think that's a dangerous spot to be in as a CEO. Like, if you operating on some family shit and you really ain't on that, but here's the flip side of that. The people investing the money got to protect themselves as well. It's just like an artist or somebody, anybody investing. Like, yo, when love is involved in it, I treat it a different kind of way. When I ain't got no love in it, we looking at a spreadsheet. Yeah, we looking at a spreadsheet, and that's going to dictate whether you get support. But when it was love involved in it, not only do you get more from the artist, you get more from the CEO. It's a very good marriage. And the thing about the love that we can present each other in business as black people, white people have a hard time matching that love. Not saying they can't show love and do business with you. When it's a black CEO or a black A&R or a black exec that finds a black artist and there's some synergy there and there's some love involved, this artist goes to create masterpieces. And this CEO sit back and make sure every building is on board for his artist. That recipe has been successful for us. But I think it's irresponsible because the rap ecosystem often creates relationships that are emotionally over-languaged. And it's not represented in a way that is honest and true to these words that are being used. And I think that's a dangerous position. And before I get off this Gucci topic, because I got more to talk about, this is going to probably be a kind of long one today. Before I get off this Gucci topic, let me also clarify my position. I've always been someone that has talked information, has talked elevation. I'm an expert in human behavior. I have an exceptional record of putting humans in Bluetooth mode and making them discover the new version of themselves that qualifies them for the blessings of the universe. And by no stretch of the imagination do I want people to take my brand, something I built so long and did no clout chasing. I've did no interviews that will call for me to retire. There's been no videos on me. There's been nobody to dispute me. I haven't set myself on fire. I haven't ran through the building. I haven't been fake beat up by a WWE guy. I've just sat down week after week and gave information to our culture for a long time free of charge. The most authentic, the prime minister, the executive branch. I've did this from pillar to post, brick by brick. There's no step that has been skipped. And so I've built that brand with a certain level of authenticity. And so the idea that I would abandon my principles, which is elevation, game, and knowledge, is one for the ages. If you know me and been listening to me, you know where I stand as it pertains to this quote unquote real thing. This quote unquote street thing. I understand that it costs too much. It's way too expensive. And I'm also worried about everybody giving these young boys swords and not shields. And so on this side, again, we focus on giving them a sword and a shield. Not just something to attack with, but something that you can protect yourself with, something to think with. I also gave the analogy that, back in the day when they was at war, they would cook out of their shields. It was a multi-purpose instrument. And so we're giving them things on this side, tools they can use. And that's probably the first thing I've said twice in my entire career, because I don't write notes and I don't repeat things. But here's the important thing I want to clarify. We got to define what real is, because sometimes I think our coach is way, way, way too attracted to the performance. I think that's why we love rappers. We used to love movies, but ain't nobody writing them in a way that speaks to the culture, the real experience. That's why people love Power. That's why people love the BMF show, certain shows, The Wire. Because what it does is it finds a place to satisfy that exaggerated version of what we think real is, because we're addicted to the performance. That's why we've misassigned the power of politicians to performers. We're addicted to the performance. Because I am who I am, I do think it's important for me to continue to drill down that there's a graduation process coming from the inner city. You always remember, I don't call it street, I call it the inner city, because it's bigger than the streets. There's gentlemen that don't do street activities. We don't leave them out coming from the inner city. Them black boys need some instructions, marching orders, light the way. You boys just talking. I make people rich. Who you boys done made rich? I'm looking. I don't see nobody. You ain't saw me sell nothing, because until I can make sure it got value on it, my name don't be on it. That's just how we get out. But I noticed that the general public starts to rap real around toughness, rank, code, snitching, respect, street credibility. And while having some of them on your tool belt ain't the worst thing in the world, the first thing I look at on a computer is the processor. What can it do with some information? I really don't care nothing about bronze. I'm looking for brains. See, at some point you elevate your game. You go from bronze to brains to billions. You boys is, come on, man. As they have repurposed some of these slogans, some of the core values have literally evaporated. there cease to exist. We've made it into a weird place where the onlookers are clap and they'll convince some of you boys, they got millions of dollars on the line. They'll convince some of the most talented individuals that come from the inner city with some of the most prestigious spots in culture. They'll convince y'all and help y'all mistake self-destruction for authenticity. Not only do the onlookers think it, some of these gentlemen think it. Some of these gentlemen think it. Yeah, man, if I'm reckless, it's very few species you can talk into eating themselves from the inside out. The human being can be programmed to do some very weird things, depending on their core values. But I'm here to push back and let you know being real is being a father, taking care of your business, paying some bills, helping your people, reading, figuring shit out, moving your body, leaving a legacy. Work for something, work for your last name, hold your family up, be smart. That don't mean be punked out and let people get over on you. That just mean we thinking men. We ain't bronze, we brains. It's simple. And so while we celebrate it, right, because we all come from it, we enjoy it. It's like, it's a very exaggerated version of what's happening. I don't want people to get lost in it. I want us to stay cognizant that, yo, at the end of the day, these are real human beings. These are people. You use them for your entertainment, but, bear with them as they grow, as they figure things out, as they bump their head in real time. I think the culture has now been feasting on itself. I think it's important that you don't burn bridges, that you stay a man of your word, that you trust the universe to work in your favor. Real power is knowing how to leave a bad structure without detonating your own future. You don't got to blow yourself up to get out of there. You can figure a way out of there. And I know it get hard. Give it some time. Just don't stop work. Right. And again, I think emotional emergency happened for him because you want out the deal. You can't get out the deal. If you stop work, your career going to take a hit. There ain't nobody that hasn't had that legacy status that early in their career like that keep taking those hits and it work outside of prison. If you out here not dropping music just in the world, it's different. When you absent of the world in prison, maybe you got a shot. But if you out here and you just tied up in court, you put yourself in a bad spot. But it's also important that we realize that some of these relationships are investments. Let's call them what they are. Some of the alliances are temporary. Some of the collaborations are based on credibility. I mean, I had an interview the other day and I said, yo, at some point, all of y'all got to stop acting like y'all ain't hustling. All of y'all hustling. Right? We'll continue to keep an eye out on the Gucci Man stuff. I spent too much time on it. I want to move to this next topic, which is Boosie and Vlad. Let's go. Let's talk about this Vlad and Boosie situation. I'm going to give y'all about 20 minutes on this and get out of here. Hopefully this episode holds y'all down for this week, man. This is a long one. Let's talk about this Boosie and Vlad situation. For people who do not know, Boosie came out the other day and he spoke online about, yo, you ain't seen me on Vlad. I just renegotiated with Vlad. I wanted an extra $5,000. He wouldn't give it to me. Let's take a look at that video. We'll come back with some commentary. Pay attention.
I ain't do Vlad no more. We couldn't come up with a agreement. He ain't want to pay me. I wanted $5,000 more than he wanted to pay me. He didn't want to pay me, so I think I'm gonna make more money doing it this way. And I'm editing my interview now. I don't know what time it is. Let's talk about it. Uh-oh. Yeah, I get ready. Been 7 months. Let's go.
This was Boosie's initial video, and of course, if you did not hear it, he clarified, I wanted an extra $5,000. We couldn't come up to an agreement. I'm going to film my own interview now. I'm going to make more money like this. Now, he was originally getting $25,000 for each interview, which if you're asking me from a business perspective, we love Boosie. He's a legend. That's unreasonable. Pay attention to what DJ Vlad said in response, and we'll talk about what this revealed about their relationship and deal with some of the business. Pay attention.
Originally, I wasn't paying him to do interviews, but over time, as the views kept going up, and people were really gravitating towards these interviews, we started working out appearance fees. And the fees slowly went up. And over the last couple of years, the fee that we actually stuck at was around was $25,000 per interview. And that price was justified because Boosie was pulling in like 6 million views for every interview. And in that particular situation, and I showed Boosie all the numbers and all my back end numbers and so forth. When he was getting around 5.5 million views, I would make around 35,000 off that interview, and he would make 25,000. Boosie recently did a live where he revealed parts of this conversation, and in his live, he said that he had asked for $5,000 more, and I said no, which is why he's not going to do the interview.
I wanted $5,000 more than he wanted to pay me. He didn't want to pay me, so I think I'm gonna make more money doing it this way. And I'm editing my interview now.
Now, that's not exactly accurate. So when I called Boosie, like I said, the fee had always been $25,000. He said, I want $40,000. And I'm like, fam, I can't do $40,000. That's just putting me in the hole in a situation like this. He's like, well, I'll go as low as 35. And I'm like, man, listen, I might be able to do 30 after I run the numbers, but 35 is definitely out of the question. But let me go ahead and run my numbers and actually see what's going on. So I went back and I looked through the last 5 or 6 interviews, and I looked, and the profit margin on each of these interviews was around $10,000. So I showed him the numbers. I sent him a spreadsheet showing him my back end numbers. And I'm like, bro, the most I could do is 25. You're asking for 35. Your traffic has been dipping over the years. You've gone from about 6 million to about 5.5 to about 5 and some change. So you're looking at about maybe a 10-15% decrease in views, which means a 10 to 50% decrease in revenue, as you know. Look, Boosie's already at home, right? He wakes up, he does the interview. There's no cost associated with him, and he was getting paid $25,000. I have to fly because I don't have a studio or a camera crew in Georgia, in Atlanta, so I have to hire a camera crew in Atlanta. I have to fly from LA to Atlanta. I have to get a hotel. I have to have all the costs associated with it. And then afterwards, I have to pay to get the video edited and pay my crew and everything else like that. And as you know, with YouTube, I'm taking all the risk because sometimes videos get demonetized, right? Especially when you talk about someone like a Boosie who has, he swears, he's talking about a lot of edgy stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm taking 100% of the risk.
I don't like how he started to frame it at the end, but as it pertains to business, he's 100% correct. To be paying $25,000 for a Boosie interview, it's unreasonable. Maybe for his first interview, because you're Vlad, it makes sense. Anybody else in the market doing that, I'm not sure that makes the best business sense. But I have no personal relationship with Boosie. And I think Boosie is leaning on what he thought was a personal relationship. But again, in this industry, at some point, you will learn that a key to the studio ain't a deed to the studio. It feels like the personal relationship could be on the ropes at best. And I'm being charitable by saying it that way, right? Because while it doesn't make business sense, Boosie made a few points where he justified it. Pay attention to what Boosie said in response to Vlad's video, and we'll come back with our official commentary.
I haven't seen the video. I can't find it, but they saying that you saying I'm asking for too much money because I don't have the numbers on the platforms. Well, if I'm getting $25K from Vlad and I'm on that motherfucker how many times a year? And now I ask for 35. I haven't been on there for seven months. How am I asking for too much money? On a year basis, I feel I saved him money. That's how I feel, and I told Vlad that. But for you to say that I'm asking for too much money, you're not looking at the yearly rate to what this yearly rate would be. And it don't matter if somebody richer than me. It don't matter if somebody got more numbers on their platform. Plenty of people have been on Vlad. A lot of times they still won't do the numbers Boosie do. Numbers and everything don't make you motherfucker. I'm Boosie, nigga. I'm different. But just think about that. 25, 6, 7, 8 times a year. And it's been 7 months and I haven't done an interview and I asked for 35. That's why we feel we couldn't come to agreement.
Before we get into the second part, let me address this part. I understand what Boosie is saying, but I don't think he understands what he's saying. He's still not speaking from Vlad's perspective. And it's almost like he don't understand that. He's saying, well, you would have paid me, let's be generous. You would have paid me $100K in 7 months. I ain't made no money with you. Give me 35 for this one. That's what he's saying. You saving money. That don't work because they are not judging it like that. This is a business relationship from Vlad's perspective. To justify $25,000 for an interview appearance is blasphemy, especially if you drop an album and you sell 1,000 records in the first week or some shit like that. Like you sold 3,000 the first week. You cannot justify a $25,000 appearance fee for an interview after a nigga got your life story. When you got one of them life stories like Boosie, when you a legend in the game and you got a platform with 5 million subscribers, maybe you can pay it for the first interview to boom the audience. I still think it don't make sense to do. I think this exchange isn't enough. You cutting too close to the edges. You cutting real close. But if you got a valuable business, you can take them kind of hits to try to build a long-term relationship with someone. I was surprised Boosie wanted to do a platform now because he should have been done a platform. And I heard him reference that, you know, he had a Boosie channel that they took from him. He's still undervaluing what we do in this space. It is not just having a channel. It's not just being famous. It's not having notoriety. Boosie definitely can do a podcast, but he will have to have somebody to bounce off of. You can't do a podcast in a room with somebody that love everything you say. That ain't gonna work. Can't do a podcast where niggas get drunk all day. That ain't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? It gotta be some tick for tack as it pertains to, or he can sit down and comment on things and just have commentary, right? But I just think people undervalue what we do in this market and what we've done to carve out some of the market share that all of us occupy. One of the more hurtful things that I found out, because, you know, I've had some conversation with Boosie team, and it was you know, they threw certain numbers out there at me, and I was uncomfortable with the numbers because I don't pay for interviews. But the idea that those numbers were even on the table was interesting to me, right? Because I love Boosie like everybody else. We grew up on Boosie. Like, he really had the trap. Nobody had the trap like Boosie. I want to be clear. We talking high level game, though. It's unfortunate for me to see Boosie still hustling in that same trap he was hustling in damn near 20 years ago. Like, you still selling verses. And I get it. That's your gift. I ain't saying clock our way out, but there's some other things that I was expecting from you, like following P, following Baby, right? I think, you know what I'm saying? I think some of the audience is starting to view it as overzealous because you've been hustling the same trap for 20, like, think about that. You've been hustling the same trap from 20 years the same way. You made plenty of money out this shit. Like, now it's time to put people in position to help folks. You understand me? Now, Vlad, I think he's excluded from being someone that you should quote unquote help. But what we find is typical. That is who Boosie helped, quote unquote, because it's also unfortunate that for 20 years Boosie has been for sale, in my opinion. And I mean, from a rap perspective, man, it's unfortunate because we'll call being for sale for anything hustling. You can't do it. I always tell y'all, you can't do everything for money because it'll have you available for anything. If all it takes is some money to get you to move, I can have you doing anything. But if you want Southern rap legendary status in the building for damn near anything, you can pay Boosie. He gonna show up. And in his mind, that's hustling. You understand? He been in the same trap 20 years, and although we hold him in high regard, I would like to see more hustling for him on different levels and different avenues. I'm expecting for him to be the person pouring in the ghetto at this point. You know, if you're going to build a platform and be authentic and just, you know, get a game and not chase the cloud and show up and interview niggas that just escaped death or a nigga damn near dying, you'll show up to the hospital and interview. I don't get down like that. That ain't my vibration. If you're going to stay and build it brick by brick, you got to really put the work in. And you'll have a level of respect for what it is we do because you're going to notice, oh, you don't make that kind of money. You ain't going to get 25K nowhere else. You don't make that kind of money doing interviews. That just ain't a thing. You're on your 6th interview on this platform. You should not justify 25K if I'm Vlad. But here is where it's about to take a turn. Let's listen to the second part of Boosie video, and we'll be back with some commentary. Boosie then continued and spoke more about Vlad TV. Pay attention.
Also, why you think a lot of motherfuckers watch Vlad TV? Let's be honest, bro. Like, let's be fucking honest. Who turned you up on Vlad TV, my nigga? Who shit you watch over and over again? Like, you know, like our connection, like, bro, come on, bro. Come on, bro. When you talk about interviewing and you bring Boosie name up, you bring Vlad TV name up. When you talk about Vlad interviewing somebody, you bring Boosie name up. So Envy, I feel you wrong on that. I feel you wrong. You can call me the Breakfast Club and we can have it out.
Let me present some merit on what Boosie is saying, because Vlad could easily put him in a deal per year, 250K, 10 episodes a year, something like that. And that, I think Boosie is operating like they got that kind of deal going on. You see what I'm saying? But it ain't that kind of deal. And what's unfortunate about it is that Boosie was the only street rapper that stayed next to Vlad when he became radioactive. And so I don't think Boosie, when he's negotiating with Vlad, he's just not talking about his appearance fee. He's reevaluating his value to the platform, period. And that's where I think he got Vlad at. Because when nobody would go sit on Vlad, Boosie would go sit on Vlad. It's unfortunate because there's black platforms, and you know, my people reach out to some of these people that you see on Vlad TV. And sometimes I'm interested in just how, you know, the industry plays this drag along game, and we eventually get the interview and it goes well. But I was always interested. These people run to go sit on Vlad. Vlad will have you sitting in front of armed guard. Nigga be strapped up while you interviewing. Picture niggas running into that. You know, I'm finna go on Vlad and he finna ask me some questions, but it's a nigga with an AR in the corner or a pistol. There's a guy with a pistol in the corner of my interview. And he's standing there like, what is this? And the rappers sign up for that, Boosie included. Boosie stayed next to him when Vlad became radioactive. And so I think the bigger question is talent, and the talent reevaluating what it means to the platform. Now, here's what was interesting. Vlad continued in his interview. And this, in my opinion, is why he lost me. And it kind of felt disingenuous. He started to frame it in a certain way, and he was just making his argument. We'll be back with some commentary after we see what Vlad said. Pay attention.
So Boosie went on live. Like I said, I wasn't going to say any of this. This was just going to be a private conversation between me and Boosie. And if people ever ask, I'd be like, oh, well, me and Boosie just busy. And, you know, at some point we might hook up or not. You know, I mean, it is what it is. That's my man. But he decided to make a video. And in the video, he said, yeah, I'm going to do the interview myself. And I'm going to have my kids interview me. And I think I'll make more money this way. And I'm actually glad that Boosie is going that direction, because he'll get to see for the first time how much money he's actually made. And, you know, Boosie has his own channel. How much work goes into it. Yeah, he'll actually get a crash course on the other side of the business, because Boosie's never been a YouTube guy. He's been, you know, a music guy. He's been, you know, getting shows. That's where most of his money comes from. So he'll get to see what I've gone through on mine. Because right now, Boosie's now had to pay for his own cameraman. He's got to pay for his own editing. Like, you know, he's having costs right now, which he never had before, doing interviews with me. And he'll get to see exactly how much revenue he'll get. For him to make more than 25,000, he's going to have to bring in 5-6 million views. You know, at least 4 million views in order to make that back. And I hope he makes it. Because at the end of the day, man, everyone transitions and everyone, you know.
See, even that when you talk about how many millions of views, I think that's a disingenuous conversation, because he could be talking about clips. Maybe clips pay that low, but if you drop a long form conversation, which he usually does with Boosie at 4 hours, 3 hours, you drop long form content, the CPM goes up through the roof. By you having so many live active daily viewers and having 5 million subscribers, there's no way I'm believing that Boosie comes on and you do a 3-hour conversation with him and you don't make the 25,000 or you don't clip 35,000. That's in my professional opinion.
Businesses change and people have different priorities and everything else like that. Maybe Boosie will be okay getting less money, but owning the content, that's really up to Boosie. It's not up to me, but I think it's good. And I want everyone to watch that interview that he puts out himself. And people can come to their own conclusions, but I can almost guarantee that after Boosie goes through this process, he'll see that Vlad has been fair with him this whole time. Vlad has been 100 with him this whole time. We've never really had, up to this point, we never had like a business disagreement. You know, at times Boosie's like, oh, well, I thought I was going to get this. And I'm like, okay, cool, you can have it. I'm not tripping. You know, because for me, the relationship is more important than anything else. It's the business relationship. 100%. Really.
That's so important right there. He snuck that in, and I think that's imperative to the narrative, which is usually when Boosie asks for something, I come clean like the washing machine. I ain't doing that no more, because his platform is back in a position where he's getting talent. He has several recurring guests. He's dipping in the No Jumper universe some, over here some. I mean, he's in a position now where he doesn't necessarily have to depend on Boosie. There was a certain point, man, if you just don't have revisionist history, Vlad needed Boosie. he had to have Boosie to just talk to the culture. They had blocked him all the way out. And because Boosie is available if you got a check, Boosie ended up over there with Vlad. And because Vlad was paying him, you stopped seeing him on any black platforms. Now he thinking everybody got to pay him $25,000 because he'll show up. You know, he used to be in there before Vlad started trusting him. Vlad made him come in there, sit down in that chair, damn near gunpoint, nigga, and do an interview. Yeah, it's a security guard somewhere in here strapped just in case you get rowdy. We'll beat you in here. We hope you don't get rowdy. He's here to protect me. But if that's needed for an interview, you probably in the wrong business. Boom Man was just called to the carpet by Ray Daniels, and I invite Vlad to come and have a conversation. Boom Man was just called to the carpet on Ray Daniels saying, yo, you moving with an armed guard. Are you okay? Why would Vlad need an armed security guard for an interview? And the only reason he had to start paying people is because they had pigeonholed him. Nobody would go over there. And because most of these rap guys are for sale, you offer some money. How much you got? Shit, I'm over there at Vlad and I got to feed my family. Yeah, I got to feed my family. I'm over there at Vlad and you can't knock no nigga go and get his chicken. So niggas was over there going to get their money. But here's the scenario. He don't need it like that no more. Let's listen to a little more of Vlad.
You know, like I said, for years now, I've been giving Boosie the majority of the money. He's been making 25, I've been making 10. I've been okay with that. But at the point where he makes 35 and I make 0, then I can't do that anymore. One of the things that Boosie said was like, oh, you're going to keep making money forever on this thing. But the reality is that YouTube videos don't really make money forever. No. There's a big jump in the beginning and then it starts to go to 0. A few blips happen every so often, but really most of the money is made in the first week or so.
Right.
It's not like having like a timeless song, right? It's not like having like a Wipe Me Down that continues to just kind of keep getting licensed and keep getting played at concerts and big sporting events and stuff like that. YouTube is different, man. YouTube, you get a big jump in the beginning and then it'll go down really almost to 0. You might get little blips and so forth. So Boosie will get to experience that for the first time on his own platform. And I think it's cool that he's doing his own.
I want you to pay attention to how he packaged this because I tell y'all high level thinkers, we zoom in on some of the content and try to have a conversation. What Vlad just said was, and pay attention to his high level game being put down on Boosie. He may missed it. Nigga, somebody, I'm going to send one of you boys an invoice. I'm the best in the business. What Vlad said was, quote unquote, YouTube videos make all the money in the first week. Oh, so you just presented that wrong. Now, if I accept that premise, you beat me. And you really don't beat me, but let's just give you that if I accept that premise. Number one, I reject the premise that you're doing quote unquote YouTube videos. Is YouTube your main source of revenue right now? Yes, but everybody know he shoots his interviews in a documentary kind of style. So he's effectively getting documentaries on you guys, whether you like them or not, sitting in his interview chair. I'm sure he makes you sign off on some or there's some negotiation process. And so what happens is when he exits the game, he has a catalog of documentaries on some of the most important people in culture. The idea that he's framing it like YouTube videos, in my opinion, in my professional opinion, is disingenuous. Also, for him to say you make all of your money in the first week, I just have to reject that notion as well. He is the king of the clip thing. He started that business model when you take a 3-hour video and you clip it up and you eat off every clip. Then you turn around and you eat off the entire video. For an example, let's say the video is 3 hours long. With those 24 clips, I drop each of those clips and monetize and make money off those on every site, Facebook, YouTube. That's what I'm saying. The idea that you frame them like YouTube videos, I think in my professional opinion, is a mistake. You get paid off YouTube, Snapchat, you monetize everywhere. I'm adding to your catalog. I'm just speaking about the idea that he's saying, number one, that it's YouTube videos and you make all your money in the first week is just disingenuous. Again, all these different platforms you make money off of. That's one. Number two, you're not shooting videos. Number three, that's where the market currently sits. We know that we're in the tech. We know we're in the tech boom. And so technology is evolving. And at some point with that type of catalog, you're eligible for the bags that's going to be out there. You know they're coming. We all know they're coming. That's why we all getting our catalogs together. We all know they're coming. Netflix know it's coming. Everybody know that Technology is about to catch up in a way where content is going to be worth much more than music was ever worth. And so you're positioning yourself. Now, if you don't have that information, he can frame it as YouTube videos and you make all your money in the first week. And I think that situation will be satisfying for you. But if you know what I know, or you're a person that listens to this up there podcast, you just heard me give you a couple different reasons why I think that's not the case. And it's also interesting that Vlad keeps saying that, yo, it doesn't make business sense. It doesn't make business sense. It's all about business. My question to Vlad would be, if he was sitting in front of me, do you think it made business sense for Boosie to continue to sit with you when the entire culture has ostracized you? Well, he's getting paid. He's doing a job. I understand that. But you offered that money to a number of artists that denied the money. There's a scenario and a conversation to be had that when it didn't make that much business sense for me, I came clean like the washing machine for you, Vlad. I came and got your money when the whole culture was saying your money ain't no good, because I'm a quote unquote hustler, so I'm going to go get any money. I come get your money. I don't, whatever them rap, man, I come get your money. You my guy. I've been knowing you for a long time. I come get your money. I stand on the snitch shit with these rappers and Kodak Black and all them. But you ain't like that. You my guy. I don't even look at you like that. We get money together, business partner. Let's get it. Do you think it made the most business sense for him to take your money when you was radioactive? It didn't. So if he's saying, Vlad, I'm looking, my accountant just hit me and said we usually make $250,000 with Vlad by now. We ain't made nothing. And I reach over to you, let me get 35, bro. I ain't made nothing with you in 7 months. We'll go back 225 next month. You know, maybe Vlad could have take one loss for me, man. I done came clean with you. I was fucking with you when nobody wasn't fucking with you. Take one loss with me. Nigga, I'm looking at my account, nigga. I ain't made no money with you in 6-7 months. And if I take a lower price, I feel like I'm selling myself out. So I'm stuck at this number with you. Vlad saying, nah, it don't make quote unquote business sense. On top of that, he paid 6ix9ine a certain number. Again, he was radioactive for a minute. 6ix9ine got him back in the algorithm, turned him up. Not saying that his money was ever low, because again, he got active live viewers, like everyday people on his channel on YouTube. So he gonna make some money, but he needed niggas like Boosie, certain names that just kept him penetrating in culture. I just think it's a value to be attached to that. When I'm paying 6ix9ine, people say that they had some kind of strife on their relationship. I mean, maybe not. Boosie made a lot of money with Vlad. You know, if he thinks that you got that budget, he feel like he the biggest nigga on your platform. And if I ain't the biggest one, I'm the only one that held you down when things got dog for you, right? So again, I talk mindset on this up there podcast. My issue, I don't have an issue with Vlad. I don't have an issue with Boosie. I'm only talking mindset of both of those individuals. Hopefully I gave you an explanation on where I think both those gentlemen stand. This is This Up There podcast. I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.